years experience. It's super easy. Just click on the Sell Us Your Car button on the DuvalFord.com homepage and enter your VIN number. We'll take it from there. DuvalFord.com. Your check is ready.
The installation experts at Tire Outlet bring you this installment of ETN. ETN. TireOutlet.com. Wholesale prices, premium service. This is Excuse the Nuisance.
One prize pack down, another one to go. I do apologize for misidentifying Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s last race at the Daytona 500. Wasn't this year, it was last year, and he raced the Coke Zero. But that's kind of my point as far as the consciousness of the sport. And, you know, golf numbers have come way back to earth since Tiger went AWOL. I mean, that's just a fact. And Tiger's, you know, still in his heyday here in the mid-2000s. You know, we had 15 million viewers in the Masters. The Masters last year, 2017, did outdraw the Daytona 500 pretty significantly. 9.29 million for the Daytona 500, 11.1 million for the Masters. But it should be noted that even as we decry, maybe we expect too much, but a typical NASCAR race is drawing more viewers than a typical golf event. In fact, the Daytona 500, the Masters can compete with the Daytona 500, but the U.S. Open, the British Open, and the PGA Championship can't. Last year's PGA Championship, just 5 million viewers, same British, same for the U.S. Open. Now, the Masters had, you know, over 11 million, but those other three, only 5 million. I mean, that's only half of what the Daytona 500 drew last year. So there's a valid point there for NASCAR fans. Again, I don't mean to bang on your sport or hate NASCAR. I found it curious that they're promoting the play-by-play, you know, the color commentator. That's what started all this. You know, that your promotion for a Daytona race, for the Firecracker 400, or for these races isn't about the drivers. I think that ultimately is going to doom you in. Who's the young driver who's coming? You know, we thought these guys are coming, and they, you know, whether it's Chase Elliott or Bubba Wallace or whoever, they've kind of receded into the background, and you're left with, you know, are these guys compelling enough to add fans? Look, if you're a straight up hardcore NASCAR fan, what do you care how many fans there are? As long as it doesn't get to the point that you're taking your favorite sport off the air, it doesn't really matter what I think or what anyone else says. So I don't, you know, I don't find anything wrong with anybody who likes NASCAR. It just doesn't appeal to me personally, and I think it's because I just don't know squat about cars, to be honest.
That might be part of it.
Yeah.
Shall we dance?
Let's do it.
Shout out to Guggen Michael. He got the prize pack of a floral delivery from Kuhn Flowers and a free car wash from Scrubbles Express Car Wash. We'll have another one of those coming your way in just a few minutes at the tail end of another dramatic edition of ETN.
Round one.
Round one, Jeff. The NFL.com gang polled a bunch of current players about their NFL Mount Rushmores. Jalen stole a page from Drake's book and said his Mount Rushmore is 4 of him with different expressions. But if it was to you, you know, if you were assigning those 4 spots with all-time greats, how are you leaning?
What's that now again? Give me the question.
Who's your Mount Rushmore?
If it was to you, besides the obvious of 4 Jalen Ramseys, if you were to assign a Mount Rushmore, kind of in your estimation, the 4 all-time greats, where are you going? Does Brady make the cut at quarterback?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're considered the best quarterback of all time, which a lot of people would consider Brady, then yeah. I don't know, though. You know what's interesting about that question, and I'm not going to be able to come up with a good, solid answer here off the top of my head. I'm going to have to think about it for a bit. But I don't necessarily think if I was doing a Mount Rushmore of the NFL that it would necessarily be the best 4 players of all time. I'm not sure if you can correctly identify those. To me, even though he's not the best football player of all time, like Dick Butkus to me should be carved in granite on the Mount Rushmore. I'm going to put a quarterback in there. I guess I'm putting Jim Brown probably.
Like when they did the 4, they said the guys getting the most votes were Brady, Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, and Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, well, Lawrence Taylor's a good one. Yeah, I think that's very, very. It's
tough.
Well, we're keeping everything current,
right?
You know, for the most part with those. So
I mean, you're going with current players. So
yeah,
go with the guys
some people would put in Montana over Brady. Some people would put in Unitas over Brady, even though yes, he has the most rings.
Where is Balake at?
That's a good question.
Round 2.
Round 2, shifting gears from the world of Major League Baseball. Jeff, you talked about this earlier in the show. It seems like these are never a good indication of where things are going, and they don't seem to do a whole lot to right the ship. But the Washington Nationals are going the wrong direction, and they held a players-only meeting after losing 3-0 to the Red Sox yesterday. It would seem on paper that they're a tremendous team, but they're not getting it done on the field. Is there time for them to salvage their season?
Well, when you have a 1-2 punch on the pitcher's mound like you have with Scherzer and Strasburg, again, Strasburg on the DL again, though. I mean, the kid has really been beat up for most of his career. I can't completely give up on you, but, I don't think Bryce Harper is taking a big enough of a hit here, enough criticism for being a big part of the problem here. The guy's hitting .218, man. When you're trying to ride through some other injuries, our man Murph has missed a lot of the year. Adam Eaton was out for quite a while. They've had some injuries on that squad. Then a guy like Harper, you need and expect to really step up and carry you when he needs to, and he has failed in that mission. So, I mean, I think a big part of the problem is Bryce Harper, and where is his batting average gone? I mean, you're talking about a career .280 hitter who's down in the under .220 at last check. So, listen, I think it's not as much a no-brainer. With every passing week, Beef, it becomes more and more likely that they are in trouble, because they had the bad start at the beginning, but remember they got hot and they had a good month, probably the month May was good, between the middle of May and the middle of June, and they surged all the way back into the lead in the division. Well, now they sit 7 games back. The Nats are as close to the Mets as they are the Braves. That's a problem.
Here's what will help the Nationals, though. Their next few games, they've got the Marlins. I'm not going to say the Pirates are an easy series, but the Pirates, and then they've got the Mets. So if you want to make up games,
get well before the All-Star break is a good point. That's a chance. And meanwhile, the Braves just coming off the Cardinals, the Yankees, and now the Brewers. So
right,
that's an advantage. But
Braves Nats after.
How about this fun fact, Jeff?
I've never known a players' meeting to really accomplish much, though. I mean, maybe it is internally, but like from the outside fans' perspective, it's not like, oh, they had a team meeting, they win the title.
Since June 9th, so almost a month now, the Philadelphia Phillies are 15-7. Your Atlanta Braves are 12-9. The Washington Nationals, 5-17.
Well, there you go. They've just dropped so much ground, and that's another thing too. You have 2 teams in front of you, not just one. And the Phillies and Braves are both, they're both acting like they're going to be around for the rest of the year. I don't know. We'll see. The Braves bullpen is not good.
Round 3.
Round 3, Jeff. Shifting to the hoops ranks. Not a whole lot of traction over the holiday. On the free agency chase. Not that there's a ton of high-level guys still remaining, but when the word trickled out that the Lakers and Boogie Cousins couldn't come to a deal, and LeBron salvo to Kevin Durant was all for naught, and you wind up with Lance Stevenson and JaVale McGee and Rajon Rondo in L.A. with the King, at least 4 now, is there at least the question to be asked about just how desirous it is to play with the King?
Well, I was kind of asking that earlier today. I haven't heard anybody come out and say that, but it's not like they're all just running to line up and play with LeBron. And now, look, the word is coming out that, in fairness to DeMarcus Cousins, rather than just, ring chasing, he wasn't getting any offer. So if Golden State's going to give him an offer and they have the power and flexibility to let him, take his time in getting well, that's one thing. So I think it's a legitimate question. I mean, Kyrie wanted to leave. He left. LeBron has gone to L.A. with some others still on the market. None of them are following. So don't know enough of the details to emphatically say that, but it's a curious question.
Round 4.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to play with a guy. I mean, maybe he's hard on you. Any superstar would be, but he distributes. He's going to get you open shots. He's going to set you up to be a hero. The problem is that, all the setting up he's done, no one comes through for him.
Round 4, Jeff and Lauren. You just brought it up, Jeff, in the last segment. The Coke Zero Sugar 400 is this weekend at Daytona, and TV ratings haven't been spectacular for NASCAR in recent years, been trending southward. Meanwhile, the World Cup semifinals will be this weekend, and TV ratings seem to be at least steady, if not trending upward for the World Cup, or at least interest. So I'm not asking if more people will watch, but do you feel like nationally, John Q. public, that the interest in soccer has now passed that of NASCAR among casual sports fan?
Well, maybe casual sports fan. I don't like adult males 25 to 49. I don't 25 9 to 54. Whatever you. I don't think so. I think NASCAR is going to show up more than World Cup soccer.
I'll use an example. I went to Mellow Mushroom the other night and got dinner, and people were making noises while watching the penalty kicks between Colombia and England as soon as one was missed, right? People all in the bar were going, oh, and actually, like, not just watching, but almost interactively watching. And I guarantee any Sunday that you go in, people are not going to ask to turn the NASCAR race on. Just an example.
Listen, if they raced NASCAR at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, it wouldn't get any ratings either. So it's hard to quantify TV ratings for the soccer because the soccer is over by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not exactly peak time to pick up primetime ratings, and these are weekdays as well. But, for example, England's exciting win in penalty kicks over Colombia the other day had only 4.4 million viewers. And we're talking about the Daytona 500. This past one, the low-rated one, had over 9 million viewers. So
but that was a Tuesday at, 3
I can't find I'm going to go ahead, though, and say that the World Cup final will not have the same TV ratings as the Daytona 500. So listen, this is an unfair time to talk it up because this is the biggest, most exciting soccer every 4 years. It'd be almost like watching gymnastics at the Olympics. It gets an 18, and then expecting the International Gymnastics Tour to get TV ratings from Czechoslovakia in the middle of April. Probably not ever going to happen. And I think soccer is more in line with like Olympic sports. The World Cup can get you fired up and watching and rooting for a country once every 4 years, but I don't think it translates over to week like say a NASCAR race would.
But it would have been really interesting to see what the U.S. would have done if the U.S. was in the World Cup.
Although I will say this, what did I say? We're on that 3.3 million. Is that what I said?
That sounds about right.
4.5 million. I think it's 4.5 million watched just the England game. Well, it'd be interesting to me. I've been talking about. I've been giving NASCAR a break by talking about the Daytona 500 ratings. Those are going to be right. Those are going to be through the roof. Let's look at what Chicago did this past weekend. That would be a better comparison for the World Cup. Chicago. Not only a 1.6 rating, so less numbers for the Chicago NASCAR race than for the World Cup on at the same time.
And if the U.S. had been in it, then the World Cup ratings would have been even higher.
They're down overall because down like 40% because the U.S. isn't in it.
Round 5.
And round 5, lastly, I say this mostly sarcastically, but
definitely more people are watching the World Cup than an average NASCAR race. There's no doubt. I mean, not even close. Twice as many people. I'm doing the numbers now because I've gotten one where they actually correspond into the millions of viewers rather than the TV ratings. But like, for instance, Pocono, Charlotte only had 4.1 million viewers this past Charlotte race back in May, Memorial Day. That was down 18% from last year. And 4.1 million viewers for that's one of the bigger races of the year. That's on Memorial Day weekend, and 4.1 million is less than watched England play Colombia in soccer. So, I would say that an average soccer game at the World Cup now is getting a higher rating than an average NASCAR race.
Lastly, the S in ESPN stands for sports. And yesterday at high noon, some people consider it a sport. I'll ask you: was Joey Chestnut devouring 74 hot dogs in 10 minutes athletic?
No. Is it now considered athletic to eat? Ask that guy on My 600-Pound Life what kind of athlete he is. Huh? Yeah, no, it's irresponsible, by the way, to glamorize a guy throwing down 74 hot dogs as an athlete.
It was glorious.
There's nothing at all athletic about shoving food down your gullet.
I mean, I'm sure he has to train for it, but it's not, in my opinion, a sport. And when they say in those highlights that he's the best to ever play the game, there is no game. He's just eating.
I gotta train when we get a new computer program. Doesn't make me an athlete. Yeah, so no, nothing athletic or sporting about it. All right, that's ETN. Yeah.
Second dip for the winner chicken dinner. I'll take caller 5. 641-1010. Again, a floral delivery from our friends at Kuhn Flowers and a free car wash from Scrubbles Express Car Wash. Caller 5-641-1010.
All right, it's Custom Tree Surgeons Thursday. If you're a Gator football fan, we keep having more and more outlets out there suggesting that it could be a breakthrough year. I'll give you the latest on that and 9 other teams that they're looking at a potential breakout for when we return here on The Drill.
The Drill from the studios at Republic Services. We'll handle it from here.
Belly up to the bar and talk